We are all surrounded by products. The chair you sit on, the pen you write with, the phone in your pocket. Product design is even part of popular culture with shows like Dragon's Den and The Apprentice. However, most people might not know much about the journey a product takes from an idea to a physical object. During this presentation, we will shed some light on this process, but first of all, I think it's only fair to look at the credentials of our company, Hillside Product Design, and to tell you a bit about us. We have designed well over 1,000 products that have gone on to be produced and sold commercially. These products are comprised of tens of thousands of component parts, which in terms of individual parts manufactured, total in the tens of millions. We have one product, the Xyloband, which exceeded 12 million units alone and is used globally. I expect each of us in this room will be the first to say, I don't know everything, but I know a lot. Collectively, we know a huge amount, and if we were to collaborate to share that knowledge, then great things happen. Our mission is to support our clients with our specialist knowledge and to provide the tools and resources that help them make the best decisions about the products they want to develop. If we do our job right, then our clients gain the best possible advantage from their experience of the product design process. This can be measured on the balance sheet. Don't just take my word for this. The Design Council's latest report said that for every £1 invested in design, a business can expect over £20 in increased revenues. That same report said that design-focused firms outperform their peers by 200%. We always start from a position of mutual confidentiality with our clients to foster an atmosphere of open dialogue, encouraging straight talking, hard listening, and deep thinking. We quickly learn the requirements of the project, ask questions, and we don't avoid challenging aspects that need to be scrutinized. Quite often we will identify fundamental issues with the proposed project, and while this may be difficult for the person whose idea it is, the alternative would be very costly if it was not addressed from the outset. Quite often we find it is not appropriate to immediately embark on product design if the client does not have a viable project. This is not meant to diminish their enthusiasm. It is a moral decision we take to only work on projects that can make a return for the client's investment. If we do embark on a project with a client, we will always encourage them to be involved in our design process and to participate as much as they are able to. We are very adept at understanding what the client is envisaging, even if it is a bit nebulous. We are well practiced at guiding and helping to bring ideas to life. Every product must be safe and conform to the standards that apply to its classification. Those requirements vary depending on the territory of use and they carry legal obligations. To avoid getting too technical and mired in the boring stuff, I will say that conformity and standards needs due consideration. So, if you are starting with just an idea, how do you visualize it and bring it to life? One of the first steps is to build a visual language everyone can use. We put the old truism, a picture is worth 1,000 words, into practice through the use of mood boards and hand sketching. A mood board is a collage of images and samples, like a buffet of aspirations, inspirations, colours and textures. Like any buffet, you can pick what you want. Sketching is a hugely important tool in our process, and although not everyone can sketch, our designers are fluent and can photo fit an idea in no time. Imagine that you are in a meeting and are describing what you want verbally. The designer interprets and adjusts that in real time in front of you. Sketching is a very powerful and very cost-effective tool. In our opinion, fancy, highly polished images have their place, but not in the early stages. It's more important to use that time to refine the product design, rather than creating vanity images of little substance. A picture can tell 1,000 words, but a prototype opens up an entire language. There is nothing better than experiencing something in real life, so at Hillside we use prototypes extensively. A prototype can be as simple as sculpting a lump of clay or foam to convey the size and shape of something, such as a handle. Or it can be as complicated as a fully functioning unit involving mechanical and electronic components. Some prototypes may be devised to test one characteristic of the product. Some are built to be subjected to a battery of tests prior to certification. Some are built to be indistinguishable from the finished product for use in advertising and marketing. Prototypes are the surest way of testing what your marketplace feels about your new product before you commit to launching it. CAD is the tool we use to create virtual 3D models of parts and assemblies, as well as dimensional information the models can be programmed to include color, surface finish, material properties, and degrees of movement. CAD enables our designers to output highly realistic images and animations. And, because CAD designs are created and manipulated on screen, they can also be shared remotely through Skype, Teams, and Zoom. Have you heard of augmented reality? This is where you can use a phone or tablet with a camera to insert a CAD model into a real-world view. This is great for conveying the size and presence of a product relative to physical reality. Have you heard of VR? That is where CAD models can be embedded into a virtual reality environment, so it can be experienced through a VR headset and accessed dynamically via user movement. CAD can be used to assess movement, assembly, fatigue, stress, tolerances, mold flow, and thermal management. For decisions critical to product development, we usually use virtual and physical testing side by side. Comparing physically tested results with simulation test results helps to build confidence that a new design is based on sound principles. Another way we use CAD is for producing highly accurate and detailed drawings for manufacturing partners. These drawings are the bedrock of contracts with manufacturers and set out the quality controls that will be applied. We prepare our manufacturing drawings to universally accepted standards so they can be used globally. A lesser known output from CAD is that it can be used for creating illustrations for intellectual property documents and instruction manuals. Another way we use CAD is to create CNC exchange files. They are used by computer-controlled machines such as 3D printers, lathes, and milling machines, and are the link between a virtual part and a real-life part. The method by which the part will be manufactured should always inform how it is designed, and so we design for manufacture from the beginning of every project. At some point there is a transition of a product from virtual to real life. Our expertise with this transition is shown by the number of successfully manufactured products we have delivered. As our portfolio of new products expands, so does our depth and range of expertise, allowing us to collaborate efficiently and effectively with manufacturers. As an example, here is the world-famous illuminated Xylo band, used by Coldplay. Millions of these have been manufactured, and they are still being manufactured. To make Xylo bands, several injection molding tools are used. Plastic is melted, injected into the tool, and after the plastic has solidified, the tool is opened, the parts are ejected, and the process begins again. The cost of a part is driven by plastic volume, the energy to process it, and the rate of manufacture. You can imagine how a saving of a penny per part can easily mount up, and so we are therefore constantly optimizing our designs by reducing costs and resources without adversely affecting performance. That approach must be second nature to a product designer, not applied as an afterthought. The first time an injection molding tool opens and a part is ejected, that new part starts off a detailed investigation which verifies the design and validates the decisions made in its origin. For example, does it function? Is it cosmetically correct? Does it assemble? Critical dimensions need to be assessed and reported on. At its simplest level, the reporting can be purely fit and function, but for some parts, a full report for compliance and quality control is required. Occasionally, adjustments are necessary. That might sound like a tricky situation, but it doesn't have to be. Our experience tells us where an adjustment might be needed, and these adjustments are documented in advance, so they are expected and planned for. Assembling a one-off product sample is simple enough, but assembling 50,000 or 5 million to a consistent standard is a different matter. The product designer has anticipated this in the design of the product, and they are often the best person to oversee the evolution of the production line. That can often be offshore with all the problems that brings. Availability of parts, materials, and changing compliance requirements can arise, and the expertise of the designer proves invaluable in resolving these. Timely input from the designer can often extend the life of a product, and sometimes a refresh is more effective than a redesign when a product nears the end of life.